what did you think about this conversation?
Very deep. But I think I could still go like deeper.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
I noticed that there's a camera,
Yeah.
right? I would always be things that are left unsaid
Mhm.
in a conversation.
True.
You don't do it intentionally, but there are some, that are left unsaid.
I've had so many different stories about how people became a teacher, including mine. So I want to know your story as well. Like why did you choose to be a teacher? Or did teaching
Well,
choose you?
it's a little bit of both, I think. So I was a student of the British Council when I was 16, 17, right? And I was, we were learning, I think I was pre-intermediate, but under 18 because I was only 16 or 17.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't really interested in English when I started doing it.
Oh.
And that's incredible. Like for me, because I didn't have any passion with like language. But when I was really, really young, and when I would see tourists on the road and they would ask me, do you know where to go? This, that, I was like, sorry, no,
You just
I
refused.
didn't say anything. So I wanted to say, okay, you should turn left, turn right, go straight ahead. I wanted to say that, but I didn't know how to. I was like, maybe I need to learn some English so that I can help these people. So the thing is, I wanted to help them. I wanted to help people. That's one of the things. It's very cliche. If somebody says, yeah, I just want to help people and I just want to do a better job. But for me, yeah, that's what I genuinely felt. I wanted to help people. So when they would ask me these questions, I didn't know. So maybe I should come up with a way to answer them, to help them, right? So that's when it started. And then I attended the British Council, and then I would talk to my friends in English, but my English wasn't that good. I was struggling a lot. After some time, I started watching The Big Bang Theory. So I was watching The Big Bang Theory for like 4 months. I was addicted to it. I loved watching it the first time, and I would try to like use some of the phrases in my class.
Yeah.
So it was Roger's class. So he's not at the British Council anymore, but he was one of the few teachers who actually saw me because most of the time if you are an introverted student, the teachers, they don't notice you a lot because you're not that loud, you're not that vocal in the classroom.
True.
So I was very shy, I was very introverted. So but he would always like, not always, but he would sometimes like call my name and then ask me some questions because I had a lot of answers, I had a lot of thoughts, I just chose not to say them.
Yeah.
I just kept them. And he started asking me questions, and then I guess some of the answers were like aligned with what he wanted to hear from a student.
Yeah.
And so he gave me like phrases, oh yeah, that's right. And also when we were brainstorming, I still remember that this one phrase, it was like 10 years ago. I used one phrase from The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
I said, so he was like, okay, agree to disagree. Let's come up with like agree to disagree phrases.
Yeah.
And I said something. So they were, people were shouting out answers. And so I said, I beg to differ. So that's what I got from The Big Bang Theory.
Okay.
So the main character, Sheldon, would say, I beg to differ. And he would always say stuff. And so I beg to, and he heard it and was like, oh, who said that? And then like, yeah, that's a very good, phrase. Well done, Kim. Something like that. And that moment stuck with me. I'm like, oh, okay. So maybe I'm just shy. I'm not stupid or like dumb. I'm just a little bit shy, and I was okay with it. And so I think it really helped with my confidence, and so that's when I started like really liking English, and then English to teaching as well, because one of my friends, so there's she's like my sister. So there was my friend who would ask me like questions about English in the classroom, because after that confidence, boost, I was like, I was unstoppable. I was really into English. I think I like phrases. That's a little bit, it's like this is very much people pleasing. I'm talking about like people pleasing, and that's not very good to admit on a podcast. But that's what I felt like. Now I think I'm much better. But in the past, I would really appreciate like people's comments because of low self-esteem, I guess. And so they would help me, positive reinforcement or encouragement. They would help me a lot. So I would try to do better.
Yeah.
So I wanted to help my friends too. And so I would always help her with her questions. And I really liked explaining like grammar to her. And I was like, who loves grammar? But I do. I like grammar. I like explaining it to people. And I like it when people got it, in the end, when they finally understood what it was all about.
Yeah.
And so, wow, okay, maybe I can help as a teacher. So my dad was like really against it because he wanted me to become a doctor. So yeah, he's always wanted me to be a doctor. My mom too. But when I graduated from high school, I didn't get like that many points. I think that much grade. The grade was, I mean, it was okay, but not enough to become a doctor.
Yeah.
So it was close to 500, but below 500. And I didn't want to be a doctor. I thought I wanted to be a doctor because of my parents, but I didn't want to be a doctor. And so he didn't lose hope. He made me attend a university that's MIU, but not this MIU, the old one. So it's Myanmar International University or something. So I finished 1 year, like the foundation year there. And I still wasn't into that. And my dad, he wouldn't give up. So he tried to, okay, you should get a scholarship, or you should apply for a scholarship in Egypt to attend a medical university there to become a doctor. And I would have to stay there for like, live there basically for 8 years plus. And he was okay with it. Yeah, it's fine. You should go there and be a doctor.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, fine. And then I started, attending the British Council.
Yeah.
So I started attending the British Council, and then I got a little bit more confident with English, and then the same teacher, so Roger, he told me like, me and my other friend, he told me that, oh, you guys should become, teachers. Are you not interested in, teaching? And so that maybe we will think about it. And then after that, we started talking more about teaching. And that's when I decided, okay, maybe I should become a teacher because I'm really passionate about English and explaining English to other people.
Yeah.
So that's when it started. And then so I had to convince my dad to let me go to Chiang Mai. He also came along.
He did?
My parents, yeah, both of them, they were in Chiang Mai. They are overprotective, like very, very protective. So they were in Chiang Mai with me throughout the course, and my dad, he went back and forth. And so yeah, the whole month we were there. And then when I came back, I applied for jobs and I worked for
an organization.
An organization for like 6 months. But my goal was always the British Council. I don't know why. I felt like, okay, this is home.
I actually really like the idea that you were a student at British Council and that you became a teacher at the British Council. So it's kind of like a full cycle moment. And for the first time I heard it, I was like, oh, this is such a beautiful full cycle moment.
I know, right?
And also, I really like that a teacher inspire you to become a teacher as well.
Yeah, actually two teachers. There was another teacher. Yeah. He would even send me like, Jim Scrivener's teaching book
Mm-hmm.
that was very famous.
Yeah, the famous.
It's famous. Yeah, he would even send me those books online, and then he told me like,
Oh.
okay, you should go for Celta. So Celta
Mm,
I knew from him.
I
So
see.
he encouraged me, yeah, you should think about teaching. And I said,
Mm.
oh, wouldn't you need a degree and all the other qualifications? So he was like, he reassured me like you should still go for it.
Wow.
Yeah, he was really nice. We are still Facebook friends, but we don't really talk anymore.
So that's another teacher,
Yeah.
also from British
But this
Council.
teacher, yes,
Oh.
this teacher, his name is Gomez.
Mm.
This teacher, adult, I met him at an adult class.
In an adult
So
class.
yeah, and then he told the same thing to me and my other friend.
Wow.
But yeah, I would always like book his classes because the way that he taught, it was a little bit unconventional.
Oh,
Yeah, it
in
was
what
kind of
way?
it was interesting. He asked like, a lot of thought-provoking questions
Oh.
and like asked like in-depth questions, which I really liked
Mm.
because most of the teachers, we do our jobs.
Mm.
If I were to ask you some questions, I would ask and then I would move on and do another task. But with him, I think he's really good at emergent language, so dealing with emergent language.
I see.
He would carry on the same conversation for about like 10 or more minutes. He doesn't really stick to just one thing. And it made me think, and I really like the thinking part.
Yeah.
I think it helped my brain a lot.
Yeah, I can
Um,
imagine.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was he is inspiring.
Yeah, that's also a skill to have, isn't it?
Yeah.
I feel like we can go into that direction if we wanted to, but I want to go back to the
Okay.
the other direction because having like right now listening to you, the teacher who told you to go and get a CELTA and to who sent you that book, these actions are not very big, are they? It's just one sentence.
Yeah.
It's just one link. But it impacted you enough to this day and possibly in the future as well.
Right? Yeah.
Not possibly, but most likely.
I would always talk about them
Yeah.
whenever I talk about teaching career.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So you still remember them. You still remember the exact moment, exact book, exact thing that
Exactly.
they
They might not
said.
remember me, but I
Exactly.
remember them.
Yeah. That's the topic that I want to go into next because the impact of teachers. Question is like now that you've become a teacher, how have do you think about the kind of impact that you're going to have on your students, or is that too much of a stressful thing to think about, and you want to just go naturally with your personality, with your skills, and leave the rest to them?
I think it also depends on the teacher's personality, you know? So if I'm making a huge impact in my classroom, but we cannot say that, okay, so I'm trying to have a really good rapport with my students.
Yeah.
And I'm working really hard on this one.
Yeah.
But the other teacher, maybe they are not trying to do that. They are just trying to do their job and they would just leave after that. It doesn't mean that I am doing more than them. Sometimes in some scenarios, it doesn't mean that, oh, I am a better teacher than them. We cannot do that. We cannot say that because it might not be true.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure, but for me, that's why I said it depends on the teacher's personality, because I know some great teachers in our teaching centers that they are not gonna have they're not gonna try so hard to have a good relationship with the students, but they still are great teachers. I've met these type of people, so it really depends on, and also that their students really like them.
Yeah.
So you can still do your job and without trying so hard to have an impact on your students and still have an impact on the students. So sometimes it could be subjective, but in my case, I'm not going to say I try so hard, but I try to make sure that I notice everybody. So everybody's name is called in the classroom, every single lesson. I want them to understand that, you know, your teacher notices you, and your progress, it doesn't go unnoticed, you know, by the teacher. And so I try to make them notice that, okay, oh, teacher is calling my name, you know, even if they are doing something like bad or naughty, you know, I just call their name, and then I, you know, I ask them questions, or we make small talk, or we talk about, you know, lesson, the lesson that we are, you know, teaching. So I don't necessarily try so hard, but I still think that I try hard enough to make an impact in the classroom. But it's very subjective, so you need to ask my students.
I see. But beautiful answer. I think I like your answer because like you're not necessarily trying to have an impact, but it's up to them if it is impactful or not.
Yes.
But other than that, and your history with British Council of being a student, what made you choose it? Do you have like any particular reason?
You know, in like 2016 or 17, this organization was like top three, right? And I think I was thinking that as well. And also, of course, the teachers, you know, they look so cool, and you know, like, wow, they're really smart because they are teaching us these. So maybe if I was attending another school, or you know, another class in a different organization or a different school, then maybe I would have thought that they were the best. But since this was my school, I was like, oh my gosh, they're so cool. And, you know, they teach us like everything, like life skills and collaboration, you know. So it was impressive.
It is
To a 16-year-old. And it impacted me. So maybe that might have been one of the reasons that I chose, you know, BC as like, okay, this is going to be my goal. And I was really, really comfortable there as a student. So I was like 100% sure that, okay, oh, I'm going to be like good at this, you know, because this is like another home. So, and I really hate that term. Like, you know, home, like choosing the workplace, like saying that, oh, this is my second family, this is my second home. I hate that. But to me, just the school, it's like, oh, okay, I am very familiar with this is my home. But I don't really like saying like, oh, these colleagues, they are like my family. I don't like that. Because it's not true.
Yeah, colleagues are colleagues. You mean?
Exactly. You have to treat colleagues like, you can be friends, and you can have your colleagues as your friends, and you can welcome them, and you can like let them stay in your life forever as friends, and they can become you guys can become a family. But it doesn't mean that you can just call, you know, the work colleagues a family. I
not
don't think.
everybody.
No.
Yeah.
And also I think that's wrong to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
that
What were we saying?
huh? No,
We were-
yeah, we were talking about that. Why you chose British Council, and I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
kind of relate to what you talked about being in a familiar place and wanting to go back to that place, but in a different outfit, in a different style, and in a different role. I was wondering, how did you get that? When was the first time that you know that you can kind of banter with another person, have that kind of banter with another person? Is there a moment that really makes you understand, oh, he gets my humor, or he understood that you get my humor?
Right, yeah, I remember one time. So we were, of course, I've been working, you know, together with my mentor for like, how many years? We started working together in 2024, so it's like over 2 years now.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, I was like, oh, okay, I have to like really respect this person and I have to be like very, very professional. But he would often like make jokes because that's him, you know, he's like full of humor. So he would make jokes and I was just like, you know, laugh lightly and, you know, trying to be professional. But that one time, um, I think I was like bringing chocolate cake.
Yeah.
Yes, for him. I don't know why, but I just have like so much respect for this person because he's helped me a lot, you know, at work. So I brought this chocolate cake and he wanted to share with another colleague.
Yeah.
And so when he brought the chocolate cake over, I told him, okay, why don't you get a spoon too? And he said, okay, mom, to
I see.
me.
Okay.
You know, and I was like, "Huh, that's
I'm gonna
like
take it.
that was so cute, you
Yeah.
know. And so I said, oh, okay, he is funny, you know, like really funny. To other people, it might don't. It's not that funny to
Yeah,
other
yeah, yeah.
people, but to me, it was. So, and then the next day, I think he was maybe I was going on a trip or I was leaving the office for some reason and he said like, oh, take care, be good, and I was like, okay, dad.
Ah, I see.
So that's when I felt more comfortable because everybody was laughing.
Yeah.
I did not leave like an awkward silence in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
room when I said, okay, dad, bye-bye. So everybody else was like laughing. And so it's like, okay, now it's funny. You know, both of us, we can make jokes.
I see.
And so I think that's one of the things that I remember.
I see. That's actually quite nice, quite a nice
Right.
story. I also like the fact that you actually remember the exact moment that
Yeah.
it that it broke.
Yeah, because it's very special. And it's very ordinary.
Yeah,
But no, I remember that.
I see.
I think about it like sometimes.
I
It's
think
like in one of my, it's one of the boxes in my
one of the
brains.
core
Yeah.
memories.
Yeah.
Core memories about that person. Let me get the tissue. So I was thinking from your story, I noticed that the banter that he gave you was one day, and the banter that you gave him was on
Yes.
another day. So
Sure.
it didn't happen simultaneously. It didn't
No.
happen instantly.
No.
But then you remember what he
Yes.
said, and then you reply to
Yeah,
him.
that's the thing. You know, people, you don't really know when the exact time that you make someone feel special. You know, because he would never remember that. It's me who remembers it, and it's special to me. And he did nothing like out of ordinary. He just made a joke, and which is not very funny.
Yeah.
But to me, it was like hilarious. You know, so you never know when you can make somebody's moment special.
Exactly.
So I think it's very subjective.
Yeah.
And I like that. It's really cool.
Yeah. I totally agree.
Yeah.
And from this story, like I have in my mind, I'm thinking two questions.
Okay.
And I'm like, which question direction should I go next? Having that kind of someone in the work environment makes it special.
Yes.
Even if it is for a few people that got affected by that positive energy. So I want to know about the classroom as well. Is there any classes that you remember especially that has that kind of chemistry, that kind of positive energy that we have with our senior teacher? Or like
I have them with everyone.
Flex.
No, just kidding. It's I think it's especially harder with adults when you teach adult classes because everybody has so many personalities,
True.
right, in the classroom. And so you cannot actually find something to click with. And this is, and also I have to tell you about that, you know, rapport, like clicking with
Yeah.
people, the vibe
Yeah.
that you give. And one of the senior teachers in our, you know, teaching center, she told me that you don't necessarily have to like kids. You don't necessarily have to have the best like relationship with your students. You know, like you don't have to click with them. And at first I thought about it like really hard, and I was like, okay, maybe she is right. Maybe, I just do my job, and then I teach them, and if they ask me questions, I will answer them. And I thought that was it. But lately, especially with teens, you do need to click with them just a little bit. It makes your classroom, like 100 times lighter and more fun for them, because you're a teacher, so you facilitate. It's your job to make them feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So if they are comfortable, they will ask you questions.
Yeah.
And they will ask you the things that they don't know, and that's how they will grow.
True.
And that's how they see their progress. So I do think that it plays a huge part in our classrooms. I don't really remember like a specific class. But last year I was teaching this upper secondary, so teen class. And we had a really good banter. We would always, I mean, they were already friends with each other, so they were very comfortable. And so I was an outsider, right?
Yeah.
So as an outsider, I had to come in, and then I had to make them feel comfortable, and I had to make myself like a part of their banter. It wasn't easy, but it was really worth it, because by the end of that term, they did their part really, really well. And I did my job well. I have to say well, enough.
Yeah.
Well, and we were okay. We achieved like they could see their progress, and they still like, even they were giving me gifts. It's like, okay, oh teacher, we did get something from you. We did get something from our friends. We did get something from this class.
Yeah.
And that's very special, like quite memorable. People would argue that maybe they were just being good kids. But it's not always the case.
Yeah.
It's always a good idea to have rapport with your students in the classroom.
True.
Yeah.
I would totally agree. I think that rapport is, like you said, if you have it, it can make the classroom 100 times better.
Exactly.
And also, like, you can kind of skip a few steps, I would want to say, because the usual plan that you have to do, if you know the students really well and if they trust you 100%, you can skip some of the steps and go straight into teaching because they trust you 100%.
Yeah.
So I thought, whenever we got a new class, a new term, I didn't used to do the ice breaking really well because I was like, that is taking away from my teaching hours and from their learning hours. So I didn't think that it was worth it. But later on, I realized that was probably the most important part.
At the beginning.
Yeah, at the beginning. So I usually do it as well.
But I personally feel like it is harder to try to connect with upper primary. So they would
15,
be
16?
no upper
17?
primary.
17,
So
18.
16, not
17?
secondary, upper primary.
Oh, upper primary, sorry.
Yeah, P4, 5, 6.
P4, 5, 6,
P4, that's okay. They are like kids. P5, so they are how many years old? 10.
P5 is like...
So yeah, 9, 10, 11, 12. So they are, I still like struggle with, having the banter or like being the best facilitator that they need in the classroom. I still struggle with it. Or maybe I'm just not a fan of teaching, upper primary
level.
Yeah. I prefer lower primary. And they're just so funny. Lower primary. Everything that that they do is funny. And everything I do is funny to them too.
Yeah.
So that's what makes a good banter, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, with the upper primary, I still struggle with it. I don't really know their rhythm. I don't know what they want. And I would have to do a lot of like behavioral like management
Yeah.
in the classroom. So yeah, I will have to work on that.
Yeah, I understand what you mean because we're on the same page with that. It's a little bit difficult for me to connect to the upper primary as well. I think it's probably because they're not exactly kids, but because they're becoming teenagers. They're like
Yep.
growing up to be
Exactly.
teenagers. So you don't know how to treat them. Do you treat them as kids or do you treat them as teenagers? You know, it's a little bit of both and a little bit in between as well. So it's kind of hard.
Yeah, they are definitely both because some of them want you to treat them like kids and some of them they want you to treat them like adults.
Exactly.
And so you would have to figure out which specific student wants, you know, you to treat them like an adult, maybe somebody a little bit more mature.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they wouldn't get along. If they are placed in the same group, they wouldn't get along because maturity level is just so different.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really tricky.
It's very
Plus,
tricky.
they are not, we don't categorize them into like, okay, they are more mature, they are like kids.
we can't
don't do that,
Yeah.
right? So you need a lot of differentiation. Yeah. So it's just
True.
harder
Yeah.
for me.
That's true. Okay, shall we take a break?